Welcome back to Gibbo MMA. We're going to review Manuel Cup vs Horiguchi, and we'll dive into some other MMA news and updates. There's a bit happened. Justin Gaethje being on the Joe Rogan Experience, Alex Pereira sounding off on Herb Dean. We've got a lot to cover. Fight announcements: Islam versus Ian Gary, DDP versus Usman. Lots to get through here. So I hope you guys enjoyed the weekend. But let's dive into this. Manuel Cup finishes. Horiguchi gets his revenge. We went from the White House back into the Apex. It was we had some good finishes on the card, but of course, I think we just need to let the sport breathe a little bit. We just had one of the biggest events of all time. And then it's like, well, we're back in the Apex. I was like, man, we're still going through and reviewing UFC White House, all the things that have unfolded. But which does overshadow this event a little bit because, there wasn't much, it wasn't talked about that much. Just another event that UFC have to put on to meet their contractual agreements with Paramount Plus. But Horiguchi wins the first 2 rounds, gets Manuel Cup down on the ground, smothers him. Was looking like he was going to go on to probably win it by decision. But then, Manuel Cup, he fights back. He did, throw a leg kick and got checked real hard by Horiguchi and was looking to limp a little bit. And he then just fires a right hand, wobbles Horiguchi, and he goes down. Cup jumps on him, gets behind and throws those uppercuts underneath, picked his shots well. And Horiguchi, he went out, face planted, came back to it, then Herb Dean stopped it. So, good stoppage. And Manuel Cup, he now has the most knockouts in UFC flyweight history. He passes Benavidez, and he, I think, now deserves a title shot next, but he will just have to wait for Pantoja to come back and versus Joshua Van. But who knows? Pantoja, let's see if he does come back real soon. He might have to wait still. But UFC's chances of going to Japan and setting up a Horiguchi versus Joshua Van or something like that. Cap play spoiler. He said it in the post-fight interview. He gets a performance bonus, 100K. And I said in my post-fight reaction, I'm not the biggest fan of Cup, the way he goes about his business on the mic and outside of things. But you got to respect what he does in the octagon. He's finishing people. If we just go look at his past few fights, got a few chickens about roaming around. Free range. Like he's on a 4th fight win, all by TKO. Finished Bruno Silva, Asiel Mabayev, Brandon Royval, now Horiguchi. So you got to respect what he's doing in the cage at the moment. He lost to Makayev 2 years ago by decision, where that was just probably one of my least favorite build-ups and fight of all time. Both guys, 2 little small twats going at it, needing security to pull them back, and then they go to fight, and not a strike was landed in the first round, I swear. They just circled around, not even fighting, just a bunch of chihuahuas, and that was it for me with these guys. Makayev gets cut after this Cup. He, the UFC were just like, nah. And he's, 4-fight win streak, 4 finishes in a row, which has been good. But that Makayev fight and the way he carried himself, and even when he fought in Sydney and, calling out the city kickboxing team and trying to arc up to Izzy, I was like, he's not my flavor. but I respect what he does in the octagon of late. So yeah, I think he will be getting a title shot next. He'll just have to wait a bit. Navajo Sterling finishes Ian Cutelaba in the second round. Remains undefeated in the light heavyweight division. Yeah, he pretty much got Cutelaba down. Cutelaba just sat there and just took punches, didn't move at all. Looked to have just been like, yep, that's it for me. And yeah, Navajo 5-0 in the UFC and a 10-0 record. So he'll be entering those rankings in the light heavyweight division most likely. And yeah, like as far as this card, we had some good finishes. Other than that, I don't need to review much else. Like C-Rod with the head kick over Haider Amil and then getting the gilly. I thought that should have deserved the bonus. Because, yeah, that head kick just rocked Amil. I don't know how Amil didn't go fully out. So I was looking forward to this fight probably the most. And it delivered. C-Rod, he's been on a pretty good run of late. Like, he was on a 2-fight losing streak. He lost to Marquez Costa and then lost a split decision to Andre Fili. Well, I think I've got him mixed up with someone else. I've mixed him up with someone else. Who have I mixed him up with? I know who it is. He fought... Oh, man. The thing about this sport is there's that many fighters to remember, and you just kind of get lost in it. What the heck? He beat... Right, this is really annoying me now, because I know the faces, but I just can't put the names to it. Oh my gosh. I'm going to have to go all the way back to Cowboy Cerrone, because I can't... Because he head kicked... He got knocked out by Cowboy Cerrone. I literally can't put a name to this face right now. I'm using 2 fighters to get to a third fighter I can't think of. Bear with me. So Alexander Hernandez. So the guy that I got mixed up with C-Rod is the guy that beat Hernandez recently. Rafa Garcia. I've got him mixed up with Garcia for some reason. Rafa Garcia. I've got C-Rod mixed up with Garcia. Goodness me. Yeah. So we had to use Cowboy to get the Garcia. So let's move on. I thought C-Rod deserved the bonus. He didn't. But the bonuses went to Performance of the Night, went to Manuel Cup. Fight of the Night, Vinicius Oliveira versus Andre Fili. Good fight. Fili landed, even though he lost, he had Vinicius Oliveira hurt. And then Oliveira eventually got the finish in the second round. Magomedov got the modified twister. He had his back. He had Malisic's back and then like a body triangle almost. And then Malisic like turned into it. And then Magomedov had like a half Nelson and then transitioned to that modified twister. And Malisic tapped pretty much instantly. So yeah, that deserved a bonus. So those were your bonuses. I thought maybe C-Rod could have got the bonus over Cup. And also the 20-second knockout from Chakeli over Shabazin. He just came in there, hit the leg kicks and then the liver shot and instantly dropped Leon. His body shut down from that rip to the liver. I thought that could have got a bonus as well. B. Mosquito, there's hope for the women's bantamweight division. She gets an submission armbar over Melissa Mullins in the first round. But other than that, not too much else to really review on this card. A couple good finishes. We get a flyweight, pretty much a flyweight now on the verge to get a title shot. And yeah, another fight night done. The next week is UFC Azerbaijan, headlined by Azerbaijan's own Rafael Fiziev versus Manuel Torres. Fiziev coming off that loss to Rufi early this year. And Torres, he's on a 2-fight win streak, getting that win over Grant Dawson. His last win's against Grant Dawson of December last year. This card starts at 2 a.m. The main card starts at 2 a.m. Australian time. So I'm probably going to miss this card. I'm going to have to give this one a miss. I'm probably going to, I will be camping, and yeah, I'm not waking up for this card. You know, we've got Michelle Pereira, Shara Bullet, Sadikov, Charles Johnson versus Almubayev, my boy Charles Johnson. He's on there. But other than that, just, a good sort of decent, Eurasian fight night card with a lot of Eurasian fighters from that area. We've got Karen Offley, Australian on there. But other than that, just, it'll be packed at Azerbaijan because last time they were there, it was Jamal Hill. Well, the first time and the last time that they were there, it was Jamal Hill versus Roundtree. And after Fiziev fought, everyone just left. Like, they were the co-main, I believe. And everyone just left. And, they just wanted to see their own. Like, they didn't care about the main event. So, they've been smart and chucks Fiziev on there. So, everyone sticks around. But I think Fiziev will bounce back here. He's an incredible fighter. He's done a lot of rounds with Justin Gaethje in the octagon. So, I think he'll be too much for Manuel Torres. All right. Now, they just announced, well, finally, a bit over a year ago, the UFC were going to implement AI to help with doing the rankings for the divisions. Pretty much when Zuckerberg or Meta came on board or something. Maybe that was like 2 years ago or a year ago. I don't know, but it's finally happening. There'll be a new updated ranking system, data-driven, by using AI. So they're pretty much, because usually it's a media panel all vote on it, and then that's how the rankings are sort of done. So it looks like there's going to be a combination. They're going to use all these stats for the rankings, but then they'll also use human, obviously common sense with these rankings. And when I saw this, the first thing I thought was, at the end of the day, when it is the end of the day, rankings don't matter. The UFC will just put on the fights they want to make. The matchmakers, Hunter Campbell, Sean Shelby, Mick Maynard, they will just put on the fights they want to. The rankings just give you a rough guide. But again, it comes down to timing, money, injuries. So, yeah, just ask Arman Tsarukyan. He's been ranked number 1 for like 2 years. He did get a title shot, had to pull out, unfortunately, against Islam on the weigh-ins. But again, rankings don't hold a whole lot of weight. Just ask Stipe Miocic and John Jones. Like, John Jones sat out due to injury with the belt, and Stipe, obviously, as far as accolades, best heavyweight of all time, he got to walk back in for a title shot against John Jones, and then you got Tom Aspinall with the interim belt just have to sit out. And with the AI data-driven rankings, a lot of people won't be in the rankings if they go off that, because there's so many people that are inactive. Like Kamaru Usman is ranked number 9, I believe, at welterweight. He's now fighting DDP, who's ranked number 1 or 2 at middleweight. There's a few people in the rankings that shouldn't be in there. And yeah, it's just at the end of the day, it's what makes sense for the UFC. and the rankings are just a guide. So I don't think it's going to matter too much. It would be cool to see, something new as far as in the sport with these rankings, because sometimes you're like, how are these guys ranked? Like the pound for pound rankings. Justin Gaethje is now newly ranked in the pound for pounds, and he slots in at 4. Ilia Topuria moved down 3 spots at 5, and you're like, Volkanovski is ranked pound for pound number 2, and Islam number 1, and Volk, Topuria slept Volk. I thought Topuria should probably be ranked 3. It should probably go Islam, Petr Yan, Justin Gaethje, Topuria, then Volk, maybe. So, again, I wonder what the AI and data-driven rankings would do to the pound for pound, because Topuria, should be above Volkanovski, even though he just lost. I think, pretty hard done by there as far as pound for pound wise. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. It'll be cool to see anyway. Bit of change. Like Movsar Evliov, he's been ranked number 1 for a while now. He's pretty open in understanding why he hasn't got a title shot, but to see Diego Lopez get 2 title shots in a span of a year, essentially, while Movsar's just sitting there, is rankings don't hold a lot of weight sometimes, or most of the time. And moving on, as far as what else is happening in the MMA sphere, UFC White House only happened a week ago, and there's still so much coming out. Like Alex Pereira sounded off on Herb Dean with the back of the head shots and believes he was hard done by. Herb Dean should never referee again, and you can understand his frustrations. Sharma Polton Pereira is not one to complain, and I think it's still only a week since it's happened. Emotions are high, but I have to agree with him a little bit. Not as far as Herb Dean should never ref again, but I believe the rule with the back of the head shots set these referees up for failure, and I think you got to go to the commission and get these rules adjusted a little bit, because Herb Dean put a video out, and it's essentially like 2 inches of a strip that run from the top of the cranium, the head, all the way down to the neck, and that's illegal. That 2-inch strip that runs down, and then anything around to the side, which is still the back of the head, but if it's not in that 2-inch strip, it's legal. So Cyril Gane was landing there, but he also did land in the illegal section. He hit that elbow right on the base of the back of the head, where it connects to the neck a little bit. But when, Alex gets dropped, he's moving around, Cyril's just spamming shit. It's a bit hard to, he's not trying to just go, I'm going to land straight on the back of the head here. So you got to he has the advantage. He's in a fight-ending sequence. Yes, he lands on the back, but then it's do you stop the fight and go review the shot, and then Pereira gets his wits back about him? It's a huge thing to have to call on for Herb Dean, and I think he made the right decision. You got to let it play out. If Pereira is on the ground, stationary, not moving, and it's just to the exact same spot on the back of the head, you stop the fight, you call the foul, you take a point. But Pereira's in his waist, in his hip area, moving around. Cyril's just spamming shit, hoping for the best, and unluckily it did land on the back of the head, but not super intentional. It doesn't help his last fight, he went 3 inches deep into Cyril Gane's eyes, into Tom Aspinall's eyes with the eye pokes. So, yeah, just unfortunate scenarios, but again, with all sports, a lot of rules set these referees up for failure, and it's hard to carry them out. And Herb Dean and MMA refs are in officiating a sport where they have to protect these fighters, and I feel like this rule just sets him up for failure. Way too subjective, way too much gray area. That 2-inch strip that runs down, too much gray area. I think they need to take something from boxing, where if it's just back of the head, all the whole back of the head is an illegal strike. I think they might need to take into consideration that. But again, people, in MMA, you end up in positions when you're on your stomach and that whole area is showing. And to the side of your skull here, on the sides here, it's really hard and protects your brain a bit. And it, I guess, is okay to be hit there. But when you end up in such vulnerable positions in MMA, flat on your back, with your whole back of your head showing, and it only takes an inch to hit that crucial part where they don't want you to hit, and it could be, life-threatening. So I think you just got to take the whole back of the head, pretty much from this point of the ear behind. It's just fully illegal. I know, like, head kicks, technically the foot can wrap around. You saw with Gaethje versus Poirier, but yeah, I think to avoid this whole, trying to get it on the money, was it back of the head or not in that 2-inch landing strip? I think you just got to make the whole area of the back of the head illegal, because then, if people are jumping single legs on you and then you're just spamming straight down, that should be an illegal blow. Just keep it to the front, because again, people end up in such vulnerable positions on their stomach, and it's hard to defend the whole back of your head. I think it'll just make it also easier for the refs to officiate and clearly say, yep, behind the ears, back of the head, illegal. Either, give away their position, stand them up, and possibly take a point. Just my perspective. Let me know your thoughts on that, guys. Let me know. It's a tough one. The White House event had 17 million domestic viewers on Paramount Plus. So I believe that was in the US, Canada area. So they're still waiting to release the global viewers. And just remember that this was free on Paramount Plus. You still needed the subscription. But internationally, like, it was still, there's still countries and markets that have to buy the fight. For example, Australia, New Zealand, we still have to buy a pay-per-view. It's still a pay-per-view event for us, $60, which is, can reduce their viewership because it's hard. Not many less people are going to watch because they have to buy it. Because I saw Jake Paul come out, gloating that they had more average viewers. But again, that was on Netflix. All you need is a subscription, and then it's free worldwide. Whereas I believe this was mainly just subscription free, no pay-per-view in the US, and they still had great average viewership numbers. And yeah, so super big for the sport of MMA, the White House event. And then Justin Gaethje went on Joe Rogan with his coach Trevor Whitman. I listened to the whole thing yesterday. Just a great insight into the mentality into this fight, and them, breaking down what they did and their thoughts on Topuria. And then I went and re-watched the fight. Just a tremendous performance by Gaethje, and yeah, it also made me just appreciate fighters a lot more. Like Topuria putting his life on the line, man. Like the amount of damage he took. Like, guys, you can't go and then talk all that shit to Topuria. Like, the man's put his life on the line, took all that damage just for our entertainment, and obviously for his, he's there to win for his glory, of course. But like, yeah, we got to be a bit more positive towards these fighters, especially when they take an L like that. And Gaethje is the only one, should be the only one that can, rub it in us a little bit, because he's the one that was in there, and he was the one that all the shit was getting talked to, because he said he was petty and he didn't like the way Topuria was talking, and yeah, so the fighters can do or say whatever they want, but I feel like fans and people on the outside of the ring Yeah, I feel like there's a line there where we don't cross as far as, you know, saying, oh, you're trash and this, that, and the other, especially when they take so much damage just for our entertainment. So, yeah, I'm hope like they were talking like Gagey, not only the physical damage, but he'll recover. His bones will get calloused and become stronger, but the psychological damage taken from that fight, and you're on the world stage in your underpants fighting. It's just, that's why it's just one of the best or greatest sports in the world, because you're so vulnerable out there, so vulnerable. And no matter what you say, at the end of the day, you have to step in there and perform. And Topuria, I said already, don't hate a man for trying to promote a fight. Um, but I think a lot of lessons are going to be learnt this for Topuria, because he backed himself in a corner, as they were talking about on the podcast, saying, "Oh, I need to finish him in the first 2 rounds," and that ultimately what caused him to gas out when he didn't finish Gagey. Like he was like, "If I don't finish him in the second round, like for his own ego, um, he would probably feel like a failure." And when he didn't finish him in the second round, and when Gagey said, "Hey, when it gets into round 3, 4, and 5, I'm going to be right there, and you're not going to know what to do." And yeah, it just showed you um, how much of a beast Gagey is, and how Topuria already pretty much set himself up for failure with the mindset and game plan he had. And ego is the enemy. Go read the book, Ryan Holiday, Ego is the Enemy, a great book, because sometimes, you can use your ego as an advantage to, push yourself, get confidence, but also it is the enemy, and it can hold you back. It can blind you in a sense where you think you're just the greatest, nothing will stop you. You get tunnel vision and ignore factors like the experience of Gagey. He's been in these wars. Um, your own experience. Topuria has only gone like the 5 rounds with Josh Emmett, but fully one-sided at featherweight. So that's just more good stuff coming out of this event. That's what I was saying. We've already moved on to another event, and there's still so much to talk about with the White House card. So, all right. We had some big fight announcements. Yesterday we had DDP versus Kamaru Usman. This was already rumored in the talks for a while, but finally announced they'll be fighting Fight Night in Oklahoma. Yeah, Usman, we know he's a big welterweight, but he's now going to be fighting at middleweight against a huge middleweight DDP. So I don't know how this came about. Because I thought Usman, I think he was trying to get a title shot against Islam, which, he's the best welterweight of all time behind GSP. But as far as this era, the best welterweight. But yeah, so he fights DDP at middleweight. So maybe he's going to try and get the middleweight title, beat DDP, and then, get a title shot at middleweight, which is probably a good move, because welterweight division's just stacked. And as we move on into Islam versus Ian Gary is official. And I thought Ian Gary didn't deserve a title shot, but the division opened up because, Bilal just took a loss. Sean Brady was right there. He took a loss against Michael Morales. JDM, he was right there again. He lost to Carlos Prates. And then Prates got beat by Ian Gary. So Ian Gary, a few people lost that were probably ahead of him. So now he then gets to jump to number one contender. And I do like this fight. I like the matchup. As far as Ian Gary, he rubs people the wrong way a bit, but in the octagon, again, like the Manuel Cup thing, got to respect it. And I think he will cause problems for Islam. He's a tall guy. He's a smart fighter. I always don't like that he talks all this smack but doesn't get any finishes. But it's because he's a smart fighter. He's just there to get the win by all means necessary. And he has good takedown defense. He lost to Shavkat Rakhmonov, and that's what's opened up this division and giving him a title shot because Shavkat's still injured. Probably won't fight this year. So Gary versus Makhachev, I think we're going to see this fight on the feet a lot. Because I think Gary, like Sean Strickland, can neutralize the wrestling. And he's a better striker than Islam, more long and rangier. So, I think this is going to be a good fight. Probably 5 rounds decision. And it probably, it could be 3-2 Islam. It could be close on the scorecards. I feel like they're not going to be too risky in this fight. But again, Islam, great grappling. Obviously, his game plan is to get Gary down. But again, that takes a lot of energy, especially if the takedowns do get stopped. So I think Gary is the guy to beat Islam. But his, not his hesitancy, but I feel like his volume and his action won't be enough to get him over the line. I think Islam can get it done. That's just an early prediction. We'll obviously preview it, but yeah, I think he's going to cause some problems, a bit like Strickland did to Khamzat. So that's what's interesting about this matchup. Where if it was Carlos Prates, you just know Islam's just going to take him down and smother him and most likely submit him. But yeah, we've got a pretty good run of events. We've got McGregor Holloway in a few weeks. McGregor was on the Ariel Helwani show interview. Good interview. Pretty much a therapy session, even though he kind of did say, this is his famous line, this isn't a therapy session. But Conor McGregor, man, this guy just has so many errors, so many different looks and identities. Like, he's a shapeshifter. He's a chameleon. Every week or month or year, he has a new sort of look, haircut, style. His mindset sort of shifts, his personality. Like, yeah, he's on there with his, little brim hat, talking all smooth, like soft and humble with humility. And then, like, literally a few days before, he's on a Zoom interview with Rogan and Holloway, just going, I'm going to beat the hell out of you, Holloway. Mark my words, just turns it up for the promo. Like, you don't know what you're going to get with him. And that's what you get, but that's McGregor. He gives everyone a different look, so much content. Yeah, I wonder what the mindset and psychology around the shape-shifting and the chameleon-like identity is. Because, yeah, he's just so many different eras, man. Lamborghini yacht McGregor, holiday McGregor. In camp, he's living in the gym at the moment, McGregor. Broken leg McGregor. Capoeira, karate stance McGregor, boxing McGregor. Like, there's just so many different, bulking McGregor, cutting McGregor. Like, there's just so many different eras, identities of him. But that's why, he's so popular and people love him, because there's just so much content around him that he just brings so many eyeballs. He just never settled. He's just always, changing. People are just always trying to keep up with what's going on with him. Yeah, but the interview was good. It was good. A nice, honest interview. And he says he has 2 fights left on his contract, and he wants to fight Holloway and then again at the end of this year. But apparently in the contract, it's set for April next year, his second fight. And Dana was asked about that yesterday. And he's like, let's just make sure he does the first fight. Don't worry about the second fight. Let's just get him in the octagon and then we'll talk. And he does have a point, because he hasn't fought in 5 years. The last time he was supposed to fight Chandler, he pulled out with the toe. So let's just see how this fight goes, and if he comes out healthy. Let's not worry about the second fight. And I agree. And back to the Islam Gary quickly. Islam, because it is, Dagestan versus Ireland, just like Habib Connor. But Islam jokingly said it's Habib versus Connor from AliExpress. Because, yeah, there is no big beef around this. Just two guys wanting the same thing, and that's to be undisputed champ. So, yeah, I don't think, Gary will, try to talk that smack and make it a big rivalry, but at the end of the day, it's Habib versus Connor from Wish. Um, and yeah, that's probably about it for this episode. We did some pretty good time, covered a lot. Yeah, let me know your thoughts on the Herb Dean and Alex Pereira situation with the back of the head stuff. And yeah, your thoughts about the Islam Gary early prediction. I'm really looking forward to that. And the DDP Usman, I don't know what to expect. DDP's been out for a year. He hasn't fought since Hamzat dominated him for 5 rounds. A lot's happened since he's 4. Like Strickland's now the champ. Yeah, another weekly show, guys. And yeah, appreciate the support. Yeah, it's just good getting on here and just chatting about the UFC and MMA, what's happening. And we'll see you next week. Catch you later.